Welcome to episode 2 of Let's Make a Better Memphis. Joining me again today are my co-hosts, Mike Williams and Sherrie Hopper. And our special guest today is Pastor Larry Hunter. Pastor Larry, as he is known, is the founder of Touched by an Angel Ministry in Memphis. He's been giving back to the Memphis community now for over 15 years and has been a godsend to many people, by the many charitable things that he has done. Welcome to the show, Pastor.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
We're excited about having you.
Thank you.
You came to Memphis because you had, a dream of, driving a bus.
Yes.
The bus has been called, quote, Hope on Wheels, because, you greeted people, who rode it with words of encouragement, and joy, and sometimes I believe a sermon too. Tell us a little bit about that time in your life.
Wow, man. I tell you, it was awesome, man. When I started driving bus, man, I was kind of searching for my purpose in life, man. And I didn't realize what I was searching for. I already had it and I was already doing it. And that was helping people and feeding people on the bus. And I met so many people on the bus, rich and poor, some educated, some not educated. And the amazing thing about being a city bus driver, you're not just a bus driver, you're a friend to someone, you're a father to someone, you're a brother to someone, you're a son to someone. And it was just exciting.
You had a lot of different experiences. I take it, when you said meeting so many different people and everything. So I know that had to be a really enjoyable time for you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it was more than just a job, it was a ministry to me. And I look forward to going to work. Even on my off days, I would go to work because so many people was looking forward to just getting on the bus, sharing their thoughts, sharing what they went through. You'll be surprised at the people that greet me on the bus that was smiling on the outside but crying on the inside.
Right.
Wow.
In 2007, you quit your job and you turned your home into a homeless shelter. And, by 2010, Sober House, homeless charity, you'd service over 1,500 people and donated cars and homes to people. And you said, quote, putting people in these homes will bring back hope. It will also let the neighborhood know that no matter how bad you get, there's always somebody that cares about you, unquote. What was that time like for you, and what effect did you have on people's lives?
Well, when you went through what they're going through, you can feel what they're going through. You can identify with them. Most people don't know my mother had 21 children. She didn't watch much TV. So, and she said God told her to have a big family. And I learned from my mother and from my sister and brother. Many times during Christmas, we didn't have much, but we had love. And I learned to go without. I believe when my mother had a large family, God was just taking me through boot camp because he knew he was preparing me for something great like this in the city of Memphis. So I thank God for all of my experiences, even the ones that I think that's bad. They created me and made me the man that I am.
Wow.
21?
Did you say 21 kids?
Yes, 21. She would have had more, but my dad said no more.
Yeah.
I thought my grandmother held the record. She had 14.
Wow.
Number 12. What number are you?
Number 13.
13. So my dad was 12. But I never thought I'd meet someone that beat my grandmother's record.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And dad said no more at 21. Wow.
Dad said no more. No more.
What broke him?
I don't know. He just said no more. I mean, he had to work 2 jobs and a temporary job just to feed us,
Yeah. Where are you from, Pastor Hunter?
Wisconsin. I was born in Kinston, North Carolina, but we moved to Wisconsin when I was about 6 months.
Okay. Sorry.
Mike, how did you and Pastor Hunter meet?
Well, I was approached by somebody in one of my fraternities, and they asked if we would go out and do some volunteer work and support Pastor Hunter and the Touched by an Angel organization. It was actually Christmas of last year, and they said, well, he's going to be giving away toys and bikes and different things like that. And what really caught me was the fact that he was doing it at Ketchum Airways, because that's 724's ward. That's the ward that I patrolled for about 8 years out in Orange Mound / Castelia area. And I was like, sure, let me go out here. A lot of people were concerned about me going out there because, as you know, I retired from the police department and I have arrested a lot of people out in that area and just kind of worked that area. And it's right there where the Dixie Queen was. And it was a lot of activity up there around the Dixie Queen and the Shell Station during my tour of duty out there. So I locked a lot of people up in that area. And so I was like, sure, because I have no problem with going back. So I went out there. Our Masonic Lodge was able to acquire a couple of bicycles and stuff like that to contribute to the giveaway. And I went out there and it blew my mind. First of all, at the humbleness of Pastor Hunter and the work that he does. And it blew my mind in that he had connexes out there that are sitting on the lot. And they bust those connexes open and we started taking all of this food out of these connexes. And then he has like, I think they had a U-Haul, and then it had the whole back of the U-Haul was full of food. And, and then he had all of these individuals that came out, and it was funny because he had a lot of influential people that actually came out to work and to give the food out. And, wasn't no problems on that corner. This is a corner that's known for trouble, but there was no problems on that corner. You didn't need the police on that corner. There were women and children and different things like that. And, and everybody just had a good time in service and servicing the citizens. And he gave away, bags and bags and bags of food. And it wasn't like take one of those or take one of those. He actually kind of allowed individuals to take what they wanted. And, it was just so good to see the giving spirit, especially during the Christmas holidays. And since that time, I have hooked up with Pastor Hunter again. He did something for Father's Day. And I went back out there to volunteer again. And once again, you had all of these people that are coming to the corner of Ketchum Airways to this little lot that he has. I think, and he could probably tell the story. I just kind of talked to him. The gentleman was letting him store his connexes or trailers on the lot. And he's kind of working out of those connexes and trailers, but he has a dream to do some other things. And I know that County Commissioner at that time, Eddie Jones, came out as well. And just to meet Pastor Hunter and to see what he was doing out there, because I know him and Pastor Hunter had been trying to hook up, but you know how I am. Eddie, man, you got to get out here, bro. You got to come see this because this is the bomb, So he did come out, and I want to thank Commissioner Eddie Jones publicly because he actually, the commissioners can give money to certain organizations, and he did step up to the plate, and he actually contributed to Pastor Hunter because I tracked it. You know me, I tracked it all the way through the county commission just to make sure, because I wanted to make sure he honored what he said. And I called Pastor Hunter up and I said, Pastor Hunter, I see there's something on the county commission agenda, whereas they're going to give you, a donation or what have you. I'm hoping that he received it. But I just want to say firsthand from just what I have seen, and y'all know I try to get out there in the community and do things, and I don't commit to foolery. How about that? Because I get the things I can do with my time. But I told Pastor Hunter, and I even had him on my show as well. And I told him anytime that he's doing something, or if it's any way that I can help, all he got to do is pick up the phone and call, and I'm on my way. that's just how strongly I feel about, what he does, because it just seemed to me to be so selfless. And I'm sorry for going on and on and on, but I can speak about it because I've actually dealt with it. I've been out there, and I saw the joy in a lot of the children's faces. I saw the relief in a lot of the mothers' faces because they had food for the holidays and different things like that. And Mike, that's what we used to do,
Right.
for all of the tornado victims and stuff like that. So, I get great joy in doing things like that. So I just want to thank Pastor Hunter for his community service. And once again, I recommit to say if it's anything I can do, I will definitely step up to the plate to do it.
Okay, for those of us like myself who are just getting acquainted with the Touched by an Angel ministry, what all do we do in the community? Because I've heard of different things that you've done. What all do you do?
Wow. It's so much, I don't even know where to start. I can say one thing: we go where most organizations are afraid to go.
Yeah.
Most organizations, when they're afraid to go a certain place, they would say, we will march this weekend. No, I don't march with nobody unless you marching where the crime is at. So if you're not marching to talk to the gang members, then I'm not going to march with you. So my organization goes where most people are afraid to go. Actually, a month ago, we were serving people. I didn't know it was that many people that lives up under the bridge. So
Wow.
we were serving people up under the bridge, and they were so surprised that somebody wasn't afraid and somebody cared enough to come up under the bridge and spread the table like I'm spreading it for a king and a queen, until they showed us so much love, until I told them I'm going to make this a once a month thing, coming up under the bridge. I mean, wow.
Incredible.
You would be surprised at some of these people that's homeless come from their parents. Some of them are millionaires.
Oh, I have no doubt.
You would be surprised. And I listen, I just thank God that he's using me to be a light to those that people have looked over, to those that people that call the black sheep of the family. That's where I want to be. I don't want to be with the big shots. I don't have to feel like I'm important if I'm with the mayor or if I'm with whoever. What makes me important is just trying to help somebody. So, and wow, we used to give away a car once a month when we was getting them on a regular base. Wow, I think I gave away one or two homes over 15 years ago. Wow, man, it's just we just can go on and go on and go on. Where there's a need, if someone call me, and if I can help, I'm going to help. But before I help, I try to make sure what they're telling me is true before I just jump out there. And we just do so much,
That's incredible.
wow, we just do so much. I had one, actually, what made me want to change my name to Touched by an Angel. I drove up in a neighborhood, a poor neighborhood, and the guy came on the truck. He got some food and he started crying. And I don't catch too many men crying. And he said, "You just don't know. Me and my family didn't have nothing to eat." And he said, "I feel like I've been touched by an angel." And I said, "That's it. I'm gonna run with that name."
Well, to your point, I know you mentioned, that you wouldn't believe how many homeless people that we have that come from well-to-do families. But I used to work at 201, and a lot of the homeless people that I would process, not, of course, you had your stereotypical ones, but we had people with PhDs. We had people that used to have a big lofty job. They were homeless for various different reasons. So to point that out is a lot of people don't realize that it's not, anyone could be in a situation where they end up homeless. I mean, it is by God's grace that we're not. So I commend you for what you're doing there, because a lot of people do. I don't think I've ever met anybody that went up under the bridge.
Me either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, if you ever go, it's gonna blow you away of the people that's actually living up under the bridge. It really blew me away. Yeah.
Pastor, in 2015, you had somebody that donated a house to you, your former charity, Sober House, and your plan was to open up a teen center in North Memphis to give teens a safe place to come for counseling, support, entertainment, inspiration. And you said, quote, "It's more than just a hangout place. We're going to have police come in and talk to the kids about how they can become a police officer. I got a friend who's a doctor and said he's willing to come and talk about how to become a doctor," unquote. However, the teen center never opened up. What happened?
The money. We needed more publicity, and we needed a GoFundMe, a proper GoFundMe at the time, and we needed more publicity. So now, thank God, we have a GoFundMe. Now we just need the publicity. So,
Mike, and I just want to jump in there if that's okay.
Sure.
These are the kind of things that run me crazy. You have individuals like Pastor Hunter, and don't get me wrong, I believe in a lot of the big nonprofits. I really do, because some of them are doing good work here in the city of Memphis. Memphis is known as one of the most charitable cities in the United States per capita. But what bothers me is we talk about all of the things that are happening out in the community, and you have a lot of people that are already plugged into the community. Like Pastor Hunter says, those individuals that are not afraid to go under the bridge, those individuals that are not afraid to talk to the gang members, those individuals, I do it. My show is called Memphis 360. And my motto is you have to be able to go from the boardroom to the streets. And I'm not trying to plug it, but I say it for a reason. And that's because a lot of times we have, and I think that some of the biggest issues here in the city of Memphis, we have individuals that don't have a clue, that are trying to tackle the problems, the issues, and the woes that are going on out in the streets, but they're out of touch. They don't know what's, we know everybody's affected by trauma. That's the big buzz thing these days, trauma. So we know that that's happening, but you can't just throw money out there and it does not have a purpose. But when you got people like Pastor Hunter that's already out here working in the community, that's touching people, but he can't get the financial support to be able to open up the type of house that he's talking about so that children will have a safe haven or a safe place to come. And we talk about how we don't have enough community centers, or the community centers that we have are kind of out of touch. They're dilapidated. They're falling apart. You got mold in them. I mean, just all kinds of things. And I say that not to knock Mayor Strickland's administration, because they have renovated Ed Rice Community Center. That's one. Out of all of these years, that's one. And they have started to work on, I believe, the Whitehaven Community Center down on Elvis Presley, which is heavily utilized as well for a lot of things. But why can't we plug into people like Pastor Hunter and to help broaden his footprint that he is already doing out there in the community? And that could save a lot of people from trying to reinvent the wheel, number one, because we get behind somebody like him. And number two, it reaches those people that are really in need. And that's the way that you curtail some of the crime. That's the way you curtail a lot of these young people going down the wrong path. When you have individuals that are already out there doing the work in the community. And I hear his story so many times, Mike, to whereas individuals that are truly out there trying to help the community, but they, you got big organizations, and like, once again, I'm not trying to step on anybody, but you got big organizations that are able to glean all of the information out of the community, those red zone areas. They have staff grant writers that go after the federal dollars and they acquire the federal dollars. And I would hope and pray that they're trying to do the right things. But a lot of times it's not necessarily going back to or out there where the problem is. You know, I saw something today, whereas they had this big thing, but, you know, they brought everybody up to the Cook Convention Center, or they brought everybody up to some big fancy place when the need is really out there in the community where they are. You know what I mean? So anyway, I just wanted to interject that. Sorry.
I think some of that goes back to what we talked about last episode, when you've got so many different organizations that are doing their own thing. They're not even looking in to see if there are organizations that already are there like his. And so they start something new, or they, you know, and they're real territorial about it. I think that if we, you know, did more research when we had these ideas, and to look to find organizations like this to get behind, instead of trying, like you said, reinventing the wheel, because so many nonprofits pop up and then just go away.
Right.
You know, we, you know, somehow, which I think this show is doing that, you know, getting him out there, getting people to know that he's there. I mean, this is the first interaction I've had with this organization. So, you know, just letting people know that he is there and he's doing all this amazing work and has been here for a while. I mean, he's been here for years now. So I think this is one of the steps in doing that, is getting his nonprofit out there.
You know, and Mike, you and Sherrie last week, y'all talked about, you know, all the money that the city does have, even though they try to say they don't have it, they do have the money, putting all the money into downtown and to midtown and fixing it up, and it's looking super nice. And once again, we talked about that's great, but you know, the city has money to help out organizations like this if they really wanted to, and to back it, to get out there in the community instead of just being all talk.
Mhm.
Can I be real and say that when I've seen organizations get money, it's because they knew somebody? I mean, it wasn't about someone who's doing the real work. It was about, who do I know that can help me get this money?
Right.
I mean, I'm just, you know, that's what I've seen. And then that may not always be the case, but there have been several nonprofits that I have worked with that are doing excellent work that can't get a dime of government money. They can't get it. But like Mike said, these big corporations have grant writers and they get all the money they want. And like I do, I'm not accusing them of doing anything with the money. I'm just saying, we've got someone here that's going into the community and doing, and he needs help. And that's what we need to be doing.
What are some of the ways that you think, Mike, that possibly can change?
Well, you know, I think it's so unfortunate, Mike, that I think Sherrie kind of hit on it. A lot of individuals, they're giving money to people that they know, or to people that they think have influence in the community, so that when it comes time to run for office, they can plug into them, as opposed to those individuals that are actually out there doing the work because that's what they love, or because God has given them a purpose. Like Pastor Hunter said, you know, he felt like he found his purpose. You know, I know, for instance, I know a lot of people that do a lot of volunteer work or work in the community, don't ask for a dime. I will tell you that even when I ran for mayor in 2015, I didn't pay one person. I didn't pay one person because the love that they showed me, you know what I'm saying? So you got people out there, and those things that they believe in, they will go to the wall for it. You know what I'm saying? They will go all out for it. They will give. And we know that there's a lot of money in the city, you know, philanthropic or philanthropists or what have you, you know, and a lot of times at the bequest of some of the elected officials, they will donate to people like Pastor Hunter at the bequest. But, you know, unfortunately, a lot of this money evolves around politics. It evolves around, what can you do for me? It evolves around, you're going to owe me down the line. It evolves around, I'm going to cash in my chips eventually. You know, unfortunately, those individuals that actually have the money, not all, so I don't want anybody to get all upset to say Mike said everybody's just no, it's not that. But for the most part, and every now and then, an organization like Pastor Hunter may luck out, and someone that truly has a heart may reach down and set him up in a good way to be able to do the things that God has given him as a purpose out here in the community, because those are the type of things that are going to happen.
You know, when you talk about the community centers, you know, you got to have them. They're nice and safe, and you know, you got to have good people working there that are good role models. You know, that deter, you know, many of the young people, you know, from getting involved in gangs. And you know, I know Pastor Hunter said once, he said, if it can change one person, he can go back and reach the ones I could never reach, and that's what it's all about.
Right.
You know, and we talk about, you know, the Ed Rice being done, and they're starting Whitehaven, but you know, this administration's been in, I mean, 7 years now, and to only have done that and to not get into the deep in the community. I mean, we talked about it last time. Unless you can get into those communities and the community centers and do what, you know, Pastor Hunter's doing, go into the neighborhoods, a lot of these kids just feel like that they have no option, that there's no way out, that a gang or drugs is the only way out for them. And we got to have these community centers and get in there, don't we?
Yes. You know, just on from me, I really truly think we do. You know, I think you have to have a base of operations in some of these communities, and I think that the hub, just as people evolve around the schools and different things like that, I think that if in fact they shored up financially the community centers, if they made them safe haven for children, because me being all over the place, I have worked security for the police at a lot of these community centers. You know what I mean? Bigfoot Community Center, Dave Wells Community Center, all of those are in North Memphis, you know, in the heart of like some of the worst areas. And we had to fight. I've actually had to fight people in these community centers because they want to bring the drugs into the community center, or they want to come into the community center and disrupt the serene sanctity of the community center. So my thing was, and one of the things that, you know, I kind of proposed to a couple of the politicians is to shore up the community centers, put police officers permanently in the community centers so that those young people that come in there, they can feel safe, they can do things, but also increase the staffing at the community centers so that they can have actual organized activities. Because a lot of the community centers, with the lack of staff, kids are just coming into the community center. So they're all over the place. And there is no organization. There is no strategy. So I think that if you know, like Ed Rice, I think they've added a pool and just all kinds of things. A lot of those inner city kids can't swim. They don't know how to swim. But swimming classes, you know, and if it's in, I think it's covered and indoors, just like at Bigfoot, you can have swimming all year round. You know, just different things like that. There are a lot of things that I was exposed to when I was coming up in the hood, but because there were kind people, I don't know who they were at the time, but they were kind people that we had activities in the parks. We had swimming programs, we had football programs, we had baseball programs, we had all of these things. And a lot of the children from my era were able to go off and get college degrees and to come back and be productive members here in the city of Memphis. So yeah, you know, and I know a lot of people say all of that from a community center. When you don't have anything, when you don't have nothing, Mike, and you have something to occupy your time, to give you the ability to dream, to hope, to aspire, planting that seed could be a lot.
You know, I just saw where New Orleans, you know, just surpassed, you know, St. Louis for the murder capital of the country. And they just hired like about 75 civilians, you know, to answer the telephones and to do some of the jobs, to allow the police to be able to get in and get into the violent crime areas and get out there a little bit more. What do you think about that idea here?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Or asking
Yeah.
Pastor Hunter?
I'm asking you just from a police officer standpoint at first.
Oh, okay. I'm not really sure about that yet. I want to watch and see what happens because I just commented on a post that Benny Cobb did, and he was a captain on the sheriff department, and he proposed that. And I put on there, you saw this from New Orleans, like that. And he was like, well, no, I didn't see it from New Orleans, but it's something I thought about. And then he asked me what I thought about it. I said, you got to be careful because it's crazy out here. They don't respect the police anymore because not only did they talk about answering the phones and all of that, but they talked about going out on traffic calls. They talked about going out and taking report calls. They talked about you going out here into these communities. And I'm assuming if you're a civilian, you don't even have a gun, but you got to have something to identify yourself as being affiliated with the police department or the public safety department, whatever you want to call it. But like I told Benny on his post, you got to be careful because a lot of the calls that we went on as police officers, I may go on a report call, but then the suspect shows back up. So now we fighting, you know what I mean? Or we shooting, or we whatever, because he's a violent offender. And even if he see a civilian out there, now you've put the civilian in a dangerous situation. Because a lot of these guys on drugs now, Mike, they're either doing meth or they're doing fentanyl, or they doing SERP, or they doing, pills, they doing all kinds of stuff. So if they come back and they see you as a threat and you're associated with this organization, you could be putting people in harm's way. So
That makes sense.
I read the article a couple of days ago, whereas the police chief was saying that they were going to do that. And I was like, this is going to be interesting because it's been talked about in different places. But he's actually going to do it in one of the most dangerous cities. Like you said, New Orleans has been listed as the most violent, dangerous city. So, I don't want to just cast it off, but I am very cautious about putting civilians in a dangerous situation.
That makes a lot of sense.
I just was watching right actually before we came on a story about that area, and apparently they're below 1,000 police officers and they're in need of 2,000 total to reach their complement. So they're in a very bad situation. I think they're just trying to throw anything at it to whatever they can to try to make this work. But I don't know that that's going to be a solution, but it will be interesting to watch.
Well, but the interesting thing is, Sherrie, all over the country, they're having problems recruiting police officers. So as the violence increase and as more young people are being deterred from becoming police officers, it's going to get even worse because nobody wants to be the police, especially this younger generation. They see the police are 12 as the enemy. And nobody wants to be on the news as one of them bad people, when, the law enforcement profession used to be held. Kids dreamed of being the police, me, for instance. But it's no longer like that. You still have some that want to be it, but not in the numbers as in the past.
So then what we're seeing is we're forced now to look to ministries like Pastor Hunter's ministry as a solution because, we can't rely on the police because they're not here. And it's not because they don't want to be, it's because they can't be. We're short everywhere now. So it is up to the citizens like Pastor Hunter to find the solution here and to be a part of that, solving this problem that we're having.
I think if we had more churches to get out of this traditional of just going to church every Sunday looking good, if they would
stop it.
If they would just if every church would just once a month forget about their programs, their anniversary day and the pastor appreciation day,
Wow.
and go to some of the roughest neighborhoods, you will be surprised of some of the people that would change their life around. It's time for us to stop going to church and take the church to the streets. When we take the church to the streets,
Wow.
that's when the change is going to come. We can talk about how bad Memphis is all day long, but until we get off our lazy butts and come out of these churches, we've been in there too long. Even the benches are tired of us sitting there. It's time for us to get up, come out of the churches, go where the drug addicts at, go where the gangbangers at. I tell people, if I'm an alcoholic, you can't help me by telling me I'm an alcoholic. I already know that. If I'm in a dark hole and I need some help, I don't need you to say you're in a dark hole. I need you to shine the light and show me the way out. And that's the
Well,
problem. Too many people are not shining the light to show people the way out. We have to come from out of these churches and take the church to the streets. And that's the only way people are going to change. If I reach one, he can go back and reach the ones that I can't reach. Because listen, everything you've been through in life, every trial you've been through in life, is not just to benefit you, but it's to benefit somebody else, to tell somebody else your life story. There's somebody that'll listen to me that would never listen to you. And then there's somebody that'll listen to you that would never listen to me. We all can reach someone, but if we continue to just go to church Sunday after Sunday, we never will reach them. Never.
Mm.
We got too many coward people in church. We say we love the Lord, He'll protect us, but we got too many coward church people. You're afraid. Even Jesus said the harvest is plentiful, but the labors are few. I'm not preaching, but when Jesus went through the city, he seen that the people had faint. The word faint means they gave up. They lost hope. We're living in a world where people have gave up. They lost hope. We must bring them hope again.
Yeah, the big picture, on crime and poverty, overall it looks bad, but when we focus on efforts like, what Pastor Hunter's doing, it really makes a difference in the community if more people get out there. And this is a man who not only, tries to get donations from people, he comes out of his pocket too. And that's rare. A lot of people just want the donations and that's the only money that they're going to give to people. Right. He comes out of his pocket and helps people out too. I donated to him recently. I'm not saying this to brag on myself, but I gave him some used stuff that I had, used furniture, a refrigerator and so, like a sofa and a couple of love seats that I had. And I asked him, I said, do you have anybody that could benefit from this and use this? He goes, just hundreds. And so that just tells me right there, he's reaching so many people. He just needs, the help from other people to get, to even more people.
So what are your current needs now? I know the list is long, but like what your next project, what do you need?
I need my GoFundMe out there so we can get the funds. Right now, if I had $150,000, I can take the property that I have, I can add on to it, enlarge the kitchen, add maybe one more bedroom. I would start right there so that I can put more people into my little emergency shelter that I have. I would start right there.
Wow, you have an emergency shelter?
Yes.
Okay, see, I didn't even know that. Tell us about the emergency shelter.
Yes, I actually have a house donated to me over.
I don't want to know where, because I don't want nobody to know over there. But.
Well, yes, I have one donated to me. Right now, I only hold about maybe 7 people. And I want to, the yard is so long until I want to make it a little longer where I can hold maybe 15 to 18 people.
Oh, okay. Wow. I see. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Pastor, 2 years ago, on September 28th of 2020, 12-year-old Dontavius Davis was shot and killed in the Westwood neighborhood. And you went out there, got volunteers, you set up a truck, on the street that he was killed. You guys gave away free food. And you said that no other pastor, bishop, or church had been out there yet to help.
Wow.
And you said at the time, quote, We need people, politicians, we need lawyers, doctors, preachers to take the tie off and get out of their big shot car and come to the neighborhoods and try to make a difference. Crime is way up. Is because people refuse to go to the neighborhood and make a difference. Violence is not the way. We can talk about this thing. We can come together without fighting. We can come together without shooting, unquote. To me, that nails it right there, in my opinion. So many of these people out there that we've talked about last week and today, they're talking a big game, especially right now with what's happened here in the last month. We need to do this. We need to do that. But they're not getting out there and actually, boots to the ground doing anything, are they?
Not at all. And I tell those that may be listening now, if you're afraid to do what I do, hey, donate the money to me so I can do even more.
Absolutely. And it gets really tiring. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to start this, is we want to start the conversation. We know it's not going to happen overnight. We know this is a long-term thing. In order to do it, you can't just do this a few times and expect that people are going to all of a sudden be like, okay, yeah. It has to be a continuous thing that we talk about with people.
I actually was over on the corner of Layton and South Parkway giving out food and different things Sunday. And I had two of the gang members talking to me. They said, if anyone ever give you any problem, let us know. We'll knock them off. I said, no, nobody's giving me no problem. They said, you're the only one that comes over here. I said, but I don't need you to do that. I said, I'm here to make a difference. So it's just the love that they have for me. It really makes me feel good.
Yes. And Bullet, go ahead, Sherrie. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, he's so right that, I have spoke in churches about the poverty in Memphis. I've been to a few of them and talked about it. And I say this all the time, there are so many churches here in Memphis that if they opened their doors and did something outside in the streets of Memphis, we could really make a difference. But a lot of churches focus on the mission field outside of the country, not realizing that the biggest mission field we have is right here in Memphis. We'll talk about it, but we won't do anything about it.
Well, crime has really come out of the closet, and the church have ran and hid in the closet.
Oh, God.
Well, I didn't mean it point, Mike.
No, you fine. I just thought about a couple of things. A lot of these churches are becoming barren. They have built these big edifices, and because of COVID and different things, like well, first of all, let me say this because I'm getting old and I jump thoughts. But I do want to say that there are some churches that are actually doing good stuff in the community. Because I don't want everybody to think that we're sitting here and we want to beat the churches up.
No,
right.
I can remember a lot of churches, when you talk about Bellevue Baptist, I've seen them in the parks. I've seen Central Church in the parks. I've seen
Life Church is out there.
Huh?
Life Church has been out there as well.
Yeah. You say your church?
Life Church.
Life, yes. I've seen Life Church. A lot of those churches are going into the communities. So I definitely wanted people to understand that there are churches that they're working. But I think what Pastor Hunter is getting at is with the number of churches we have here in the city of Memphis, because I think they said there are over 3,000 churches here in the city of Memphis. And when you have those many churches, and you talk about the gospel and you talk about how the disciples are freely following Jesus, and it kills me because, I tell people a lot of times, I right now I'm suffering church hurt because, when I don't have to give my money to a big church, I can pay somebody's light bill because I want to see the results of what's going on. But then you'll have some pastors that'll tell you, well, that's not your tithes. Well, I have a whole different philosophy on tithes personally, because I have the Bible, and I know we went from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and we went from law to grace. So I have my own personal relationship with God. I don't need anybody to intercede for me, and I have to answer directly to God. It's a good thing to fellowship, and I'm all for it. But I ain't with the messiness and the junk, because like Pastor Hunter said, it's a lot of work that needs to be done out in the streets, and people are retreating behind the walls. And because of the crime, they're even more so retreating behind the walls. But they're collecting a lot of money, and a lot of times I ask the question, why? Well, what are we gonna do with all this money we collecting? Because you done had a building fund for 40 years. Some churches, a building fund for 40 years. And, but all around that big church, the community is falling apart. So the only pretty edifice in the community is that pretty building. But what about the individuals around that church that are contributing to the upkeep of that building, to the running of that building, to the utilities in that building, to those pastors' big old stipends, and different things like that. And I actually started to have problems with that, me personally. And me and my wife she has to counsel me, and I have discussions about some of those things and how I need to be quiet, but I'm not gonna. So I really, I feel you, Pastor, because a lot more could be done.
Well, looking at the stats, Mike, the greater Memphis area, just the metro area, has over 2,000 churches just in the metro area alone.
Okay. Yeah.
Tennessee itself has 11,000 churches registered.
The who?
Tennessee itself has 11,000 in Tennessee.
Wow.
And most of them probably being over in this area. Can you imagine if those 2,000, all of them were contributing equally, what could be done?
Yeah.
We only named a few, and out of 2,000.
Yeah. And I'm not knocking anybody's ministry. Whatever God gives you, if he truly gives you. Say only a few are chosen. Everybody else volunteers and put themselves in that position.
Pastor, how can people find your GoFundMe?
They can go to touchbyanangelman.com.
Touchbyanangelman.com.
Angelman, TOUCHED by anangelman.com.
Wow.
Okay. And they can go in there and they can donate to you.
Yes, absolutely.
You got any upcoming events?
Yes. Next week, I got an upcoming event. It's called Getting on the Airplane Going to Brazil and Take a Break. I deserve one. My wife is in Brazil and she's ready for me to come home.
Oh, wow. So are you living in Brazil now?
I live there a month and I come here for about maybe 2 months and I fly back there because I started Touched by an Angel #2 in Brazil. So I'm basically doing the same thing there.
Wow. Okay.
Pastor, you're just a prime example of, what determination and tenacity is all about. You've helped so many people who don't have in their mind, they don't have any hope. And, you're a bright light for them. And it starts with the one person and one vision at a time, and we can build from there. And, the three of us can't tell you how much we appreciate you. We respect you, and we love what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me here.
And we appreciate you coming on today, and we'll bring you back again sometime in the future.
I would love to. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.